Your name be lifted up tonight, Jesus. Hallelujah.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited to see this many people. I love hearing the buzz in the room because I know you guys are excited to be here just as we are excited to launch here. So people are here for a lot of different reasons. They came from a lot of different places. I'm just curious, how many of you have never been to a True Texas Project meeting before? Wow, that's fantastic. I do want to introduce you to Pastor Curry. He's in the back there. It's his church. So I spoke briefly at some kind of a Trump event or something in downtown Grapevine, and was it your wife or you that reached out to us, both of you maybe, and said, hey, if you ever need a venue, we have one. And we're like, hey, we're about to open Collin County. So it works. We'll only be in this room every other month, though, right? We'll be in McKinney every other month, okay? But anyway, is anybody here from the church? Wow. Welcome. Thank you. I guess we picked the right venue. Woohoo, that's fantastic. Okay, where else did you hear about us? Did you hear about us on Facebook? Is that how the bulk of you heard about us? Who's on our email list? Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, make sure you get on it so that you're always aware of what we have going on. Okay, so first of all, thank you for being here. I think people are still kind of trickling in. So before we officially start with the prayer and the pledges and everything, we're just going to do some trivia questions. So Chris, why don't you come here for a sec? The very first person to raise their hand, I want you to tell me who it is. Okay, so we have 3 books here that one of our speakers tonight, Don Huffines, has brought so that we could have this fun. So, first question. How many Republican representatives in the Texas House just voted to give Democrats chair positions?
She right up there?
Molly. No. How many voted to give chair positions to the Democrats? Yeah, you. 8. No. How many voted to give them away? Justin. I thought it was 73, but we're going to give it to you for 72. I thought it was 73. Basically, we had about 10 Republicans who said, no, let's not give Democrats chair positions. And all the rest of them said, that's okay. Let's let the Democrats have control, even though we already had elections. So, Justin, come pick out a book. Okay. Second question. This one might be a little harder, although I know, actually, this won't be hard for this crowd. Okay, are you ready, Chris? What is the filing deadline to run for local office? February 12th. Very good. Murphy. All right, last question. This last question, I want to see like every hand in the room up. It won't happen, but I want it to. Okay. What group are we launching next month? Molly. Lubbock. True Texas Project Lubbock County opens in March. Every month this year, we will be opening another location. So congratulations, you guys. Hey, who got a free t-shirt tonight? Fantastic. Thank you for being here. Do you love the design? I love it. It came out so good. So if you didn't win one, you could buy one on our website. So there's a link on our website to go to our store. And actually, if you buy one, the ones we give away, they're just like cheap $5 shirts. So the ones that you can buy are obviously much better quality. So, okay, Chris and Kyle and Melvin, come on up. Melvin's going to lead us in prayer if you guys would like to stand, and then we will do our pledges to the Texas and the U.S. flags.
If you guys would bow your heads with me. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for all that you continue to bless us with, Lord. I thank you so much for the patriots in this room and those out who couldn't be with us tonight, that are out fighting for our rights and our conservative values. Lord, I just pray that this group just launches and explodes and just continues to grow, but shows your glory and continues to fight the good fight and make sure that our conservative values and our Christian values are deeply entrenched within our country, Lord. We're in a fight, and we got to make sure that we keep this country conservative and strong and just full of your glory. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
United States flag? Where's the flag? The white flag? We don't.
There's one in the box.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And to the greatest republic the United States has ever seen. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You guys can have a seat. Okay, I want to introduce you to a few people because this is our kickoff. So we've got new faces doing new things in new roles. So first of all, Stephen Callis will be the director of the Collin County satellite location, but he's quarantined for COVID. So he'll be here next month, okay? And then Jennifer, I don't know how you pronounce her last name. Is it Zerang? You guys might know her. I'll have to learn her last name. She's going to be doing registration along with Michelle. She's not here tonight. Her husband had surgery. But Michelle, are you here? Can you wave your hand? Michelle James is one of the ones that checked you in. So she'll be doing registration. We will still need more help with registration. So if anybody is wanting to help out on our leadership team, this is your great chance to get in on the ground floor. Cindy Burns, where are you? She's here. Oh, she's waving her hand back there. Cindy is coordinating all of our food, the pizza that comes, $5. If you get here, you're coming straight from work and you need to eat, you can get pizza. We do ask that in this room, there are only clear beverages. That would be water. So we won't be selling sodas. And I know there's a soda machine out there, but please do not buy one and bring it in here because we promised we would not bring sodas in here, okay? But I think Cindy is going to need one helper with food, okay? And then Melvin, you met. He's our prayer leader. And at 5:45, before every meeting, we will meet for prayer. Whoever shows up. It's if you can come, and if you can't, don't. But there will be somebody praying over this organization at 5:45 before every meeting, okay? Audiovisual, we don't have anybody running audiovisual right now. Right now, the church is graciously doing it for us, but we would love to get somebody to step up and say that they'll take that on, okay? Any of these positions, you can come to me or Fran. Fran is our president, and I'm our CEO. I'm Julie McCarty. I should have told you that. Fran Rhodes, okay? So who else do we have? Kyle, that just did one of our pledges. Kyle, he does not have his hat on, but that's how I have learned who he is tonight. He is in charge of our venues. We need 2 people that will, at every meeting, show up and pass the hat because we are going to take up a collection to help us fund this organization. Do we have somebody to do that tonight? Okay, Maggie, superstar Maggie. Oh, Maggie and Molly. Okay, they're gonna go ahead and do that now. Thank you, ladies. Okay. But if we had somebody that was set and they brought the baskets every month and we don't have to worry about it, that would be fantastic. These are easy ways you guys can get plugged in. And let me tell you, anybody that's on our leadership team, we will never, as an organization, locally endorse any candidate unless there is 100% unanimous agreement from that location's leadership team. So if you want to have a say on who gets endorsed locally, you need to be on the leadership team. And it's easy. You pass a hat once a month at a meeting. So hospitality, these are the people that will set up the signs that point you in the right direction, and they greet you at the door, and they help find seats when we're full, that kind of thing. We need 2 people to do that at least. Childcare, this is something that has been huge for our organization because in the past we had not offered childcare, and we were getting a lot of grandparents and young adults that have children that need childcare couldn't show up. When we started offering childcare, they're showing up now. So it's a huge opportunity for us. There's a wonderful, this facility has a cry room where you can still hear the speaker and watch the children. So we like to rotate people, so not the same person's doing it every month, but we would love to have somebody that would coordinate the volunteers and then other people that will just volunteer. So that we're looking for that. a merchandiser. So we're going to have a little display of stuff that we sell. I just need somebody to bring it every month and set it up and tell people how to buy stuff. The VIP greeter, we need that. That's the person that welcomes our speakers, make sure they have water, make sure they're thanked, and they know where the microphones are. Oh, I'm sorry. That's full. You can't do it. It's Heather Tanner. Okay. And then a timekeeper, somebody that will sit right in front and say, stop talking. You need to shut up now. Okay. That's like the most important job we have because everybody wants to talk forever. So we need that. Okay. I think that's all the positions we needed to fill. We do have a video. Who's got the video for announcements? No? Okay,
Hi,
go
I'm
ahead and
Victor,
play
and
that.
I'm from El Paso.
I'm Kristen. I'm from East Texas.
Hey, I'm Kathy.
Hi, I'm Victor, and I'm from El Paso.
I'm Kristen. I'm from East Texas.
Hey, I'm Kathy from Ellis County. We're the Coleman.
Hi, I'm Victor, and I'm
The announcement video, not the promo video.
Hey True Texas Project, we are so excited to have you back for another year. If you thought 2020 was eventful, just wait until you find out what we have in store for you this year. First and foremost, we would like to thank everyone who attended our Citizen Advocate training last weekend. During this training session, we taught individuals about the legislative process, how to testify at a committee hearing, how to use the Texas Legislature online website, and much more. Speaking of citizen advocacy, if you are interested in joining our Citizen Advocate group, we will be passing a clipboard around throughout the meeting so that you can submit your contact information. This particular group regularly visits the Capitol, writes letters, and makes calls to our legislators, takes part in rallies, and much more. When you jot down your info, Fran Rhodes, president of True Texas Project, will reach out to you with more details. Another way that you can participate is by volunteering. Each of our True Texas Project locations are dependent on volunteers. We're specifically in need of child care helpers and people to showcase True Texas Project merchandise at our monthly meetings. We also have other volunteer opportunities. From helping with food service to being a greeter at the door, everyone can do something. Please reach out to the email below or go to our website and click Get Involved for more information. And now it's time to talk about some of our upcoming events. Mark your calendars for January 18th because we are kicking off the new year by launching our Collin County branch. And on February 8th, we'll be launching another satellite branch in Lubbock County. If you want to come and show your support, we would love to see you there. And on that note, we are excited to continue expanding across the state. If you or someone you know is interested in starting a new branch in a different county, Julie McCarty, CEO of True Texas Project, is hosting a mass meeting on January 15th. This meeting will introduce our satellite program and provide a layout on what it looks like to start a True Texas Project location. Please reach out to Julie at truetexasproject.com for more information. And in other news, True Texas Project has formed a dining club. On the last Saturday of each month, homes across the Metroplex host dinners based on different culinary themes. And last but not least, we are hosting one of the biggest and most grand events yet. On April 17th, we will be celebrating the victory at San Jacinto, the day Texas won her independence. I can't leak all of the details, but we will be celebrating at South Fork Ranch, featuring a big name speaker with VIP access, and hosting a massive fireworks show. Be on the lookout for tickets because they won't last long. And in final, True Texas Project runs solely on donations. We're dependent on true Texans like yourself to help us take back Texas. If you feel compelled, you can sign up for a one-time or monthly donation online or donate while we pass the hat at our meeting. We couldn't do any of this without you guys. But if you missed any of this information, please visit truetexasproject.com and follow all of our social media platforms for the most relevant and up-to-date information.
Okay, that's everything you need to know. And the sound was a little off, but hopefully you got the point. Because I got to tell you, we had 2 meetings last week. Yeah, this is just Monday, right? Yeah. So it was 2 meetings last week, and we couldn't get any. We had 4 videos to show. None of them worked at either meeting. So at least we got this one to work, and the sound was just a little off. But I do want to show the promo video. I was supposed to open with that, and I forgot. Can you go ahead and, you guys might recognize it because we filmed it right here. You're going to recognize the wall. So go ahead and show that if you got it ready.
Hi, I'm Victor, and I'm from El Paso.
I'm Kristen. I'm from East Texas.
Hey, I'm Kathy from Ellis County.
We're the Colemans, and we're from Houston. I'm Pat, and I'm from Midland.
I'm Sarah. I'm from McAllen, Texas.
I'm Sean. I'm from Lubbock.
I love the strength and history of Texas.
I'm a 6th-generation Texan.
I'm a California refugee. Don't shoot me.
Texans are a legendary breed.
Texas is in my blood.
I wasn't born in Texas, but I got here as fast as I could.
And I love my state.
I'm part of a group of activists. You may not have heard of us yet.
There's a good chance you've heard of us.
I just learned about them.
We are the True Texas Project.
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 Have you heard of us yet?
Texas should stand up to the federal government.
We believe no one is above the law.
Government belongs to the people.
I can make better choices for myself than the government can.
Stop spending my money.
We believe in America first.
I believe in the Constitution. Why doesn't my representative?
At True Texas Project, we don't just get angry about our government, we do something about it.
We write letters and make calls.
We go to rallies and we make our voices heard.
We take it to City Hall and True Texas.
I'm a true Texan.
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 This is my state.
And together we roar. And we're taking back Texas.
It may be a little thing, but we're super excited about that video. So please share it around and invite your friends, okay? Everybody can invite someone, and we are truly building the army, okay? So I do want to give, at every meeting, we will give candidates 30 seconds to introduce themselves if they're running for office. I'm not asking for every elected official to get up here and say, I'm going to run for re-election in 4 years, okay? This is for candidates that are running in upcoming elections. They can have 30 seconds to introduce themselves. So if you will come on up, I know there are like several people for mayor and such. But as they're walking up here, I want to let you know, this is an open invitation to anyone, okay? Just because they're on our stage does not mean that we endorse them. Okay, you must do your homework. And I also want to say, people that are already elected, politicians will show up at our meetings all the time. That does not mean they are one of us. Okay, just do your homework and look at the voting record always. Okay, so come on up, introduce yourself. You get 30 seconds.
I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited that you all are here. My name is Lydia Ortega. I'm running to be mayor of Plano. I'm an economist, and that should scare all of you. But be relaxed, because I studied economics under scholars like Milton Friedman, Thomas Sowell, and Walter Williams, my dear friend, the late Walter Williams. If you recognize those names, you should applaud, because they taught me common sense economics. And as a mayor of Plano, I will be bringing those economic tools of cost-benefit analysis, of long-run decision-making, of individual choice, and the importance of property rights and the rule of law to every decision. Please, if you are from Plano and a registered voter, I could use your help, your signature, getting on the ballot. We'll have forms outside, and I have some flyers to give you some more information about me. That's 30 seconds, and I'm done.
Just be ready.
Wow, what a great group of people. I'm very excited to be here tonight. My name's Tom Meredith, and I'm running for mayor of McKinney. Looks like we got a lot of mayor candidates here tonight. How many, raise your hands, anybody who is from McKinney? Okay, I've got, some other stuff in here too, but I've got my business card with me. I'd like every one of you who is here tonight to take a card with you. It's got my cell phone number and my email address on it. I want to hear from you. My wife and I bought commercial property in downtown McKinney in 2001 in business there. We've been in business for all those years. I've been very active in the community. I've been on city boards. I've led a lot of ad hoc efforts that have gotten a lot of things done on the east side of McKinney. But from that, I've learned a lot when we can extrapolate that to the whole city of McKinney. Again, I'm looking forward to meeting you, as many of you as I can tonight before you leave. So again, my name's Tom Meredith. Look forward to talking to you.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, hi. First, I want to thank True Texas Project, absolutely fabulous group that does a great job here in Texas. My name is Justin Adcock. I'm running for Plano City Council, place 4. Plano's at a crossroads where you have one side representing the tax-paying citizens, you have another side that's representing out-of-town special interests. I want to be that person that represents the citizens of Plano, stands up for what's right, and I want to be the person that you can rely on, day in and day out. So I would love to talk to you at the back once this is over, shake your hand and introduce myself. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, there are a bunch of people standing, and there are lots of empty chairs. So, like, there's a two-seater here, and I don't know. I mean, if you guys are socially distancing, that's fine. But if you have a seat next to you, and you're, just raise your hand, and maybe some people can come on into the room. And you know what? You don't even have to sit with the person you arrived with, because you can make a new friend if there's just one seat. So please come in and have a seat and be comfortable, because you're going to want to be comfortable to hear what's being said tonight. So I'm going to introduce all three of our speakers tonight, if they will come up on the stage, and then they can take turns speaking whenever they're ready. I don't know what order they want to go into. So Jonathan and Dawn and Matt, would you please come up? I don't even know where you are, but you're here somewhere. Oh, here they come. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about these guys. For those of you who don't know, because they are no longer in office. Has anybody here not ever heard of Jonathan Stickland? Okay, so everybody knows Jonathan. He's the one that has, the bad bill of the week, and he's famous for being at the back mic and all that. He is no longer a state rep, but he's here to tell all and name names, okay? We also have Matt Rinaldi, who I have been told every time anybody describes Matt he's the smartest man in the room. If they needed to figure anything out, he was the guy that figured it out for him, like how to word things, and I don't know. Anyway, so Matt Rinaldi, former state representative. Thanks. And then we have their partner in crime from the Senate side of this Texas legislature. We've got former Senator Don Huffines. Also go ahead and applaud. Also has done a great job being very outspoken, letting the people know what happens behind the scenes in the Texas legislature, and it's not pretty. So you will learn a lot about that tonight, as well as maybe you guys will kind of fill us in on what's going on currently, because the session just started. So what we can expect there. So one of you, whoever's starting, if you want to come on up, we can't wait to hear. Matt Rinaldi.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting a few has-been legislators to come talk to you today. No, it's an honor to still be close friends with both these guys. We work so closely together, and I remember late at night I'd be talking to Senator Huffines saying, "Hey, will you push this amendment for me in the Senate? It's a little controversial." And he'd say, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." And I'd call Jonathan and go, "I can't believe he's going to do it." So it was always a great pleasure working with these guys. Where's Leach? You here? Where are you? No. Oh, cool. Yeah, and Jeff Leach, of course, we served with on the Freedom Caucus as well. Since you're the only sitting legislator, and now we can't blame Stickland for the acts of the legislature, one of the common themes of my speech is going to be, I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. So, and I mean that in a loving way. But no, listen, I was thinking about what to say today, and we're at such a time in our country's history that I think will be remembered for a very, very long time. And it's not going to be remembered fondly. I'm thinking of what, as a legislator, you want to deal with the problems that people face day to day. And usually that's, how are my kids going to school? What are they learning? Is my retirement income safe? Am I going to be able to find work? Am I going to be employed? And that's changed. It's changed significantly over the last year. Now, what I hear from people and what they're worried about is the governor's closed my business for the better part of the last year. When am I going to be able to feed my family again? I put my entire retirement income into 2 bars. It's the bar owner down the street committed suicide because his bar was closed. Is my neighborhood going to be burnt by Black Lives Matter rioters? And if I defend my family from those same people, is the Democrat DA in my area going to prosecute me? Am I going to be prosecuted for my speech over the next year? Or because I have doubts that an election was conducted fairly, is that now considered a crime? Or will that be considered a crime? Will I be able to get news from Fox News in the future? Or is the FCC going to shut it down? like the Washington Post editorial today suggested. It's a whole different sort of issues, which makes why we're here so important. The GOP here in Texas has been in power for nearly 20 years, and I've spent the better part of those 20 years complaining that they aren't doing enough for things like the Second Amendment, securing our border in terms of life, and you've heard us talk about that before, but I feel like this is different, and you're going to hear about some of those issues, and you're going to hear a lot of that complaining, and you're going to hear that, you know, the selection of the new speaker was a mistake because he won't bring those issues to the forefront, and we're not going to get a lot done. But I'll let them talk about that. I want to talk about three big issues that are concerning me. And that's the COVID response, BLM rioting, and free speech assaults. Because I think those are the big three. And I'm not hearing enough elected officials talk about those three things at all. If I told you 1 year ago that your governor would put you under house arrest, restrict your travel, prevent you from working, keep your kids out of school, and force you to wear a muzzle in public, all because of a virus comparable to the flu for a vast majority of people, would you have believed me? No. But now, with the leadership of our governor, our party, has established the principle that we can suspend your constitutional liberties to prevent the spread of germs. That's surely not something that's going to be changed in the future or used against us in the future. It's now been almost a year. Almost a year our constitutional liberties have been suspended by our own party, in our own state. Think about that. Texas is still closed, still masked. South Dakota, North Dakota, and Florida, a comparable size state to ours, has no COVID restrictions whatsoever, and they're not seeing any negative effect from that, any negative effect at all. But yet we don't follow them. We still think status quo is to restrict your constitutional liberties, so Governor Abbott's going to keep doing it, and it's absurd. I've lived in Democrat states before. I've lived under Democrat governors, Massachusetts, Connecticut. They never locked me in my house before. They never forced me to wear a muzzle when I left the house. Why is my Republican governor doing that, and how is that good for electing liberty-loving Republicans in the future? It's absolutely not. And then we have a vaccine now. Millions are getting the COVID vaccine. There's light at the end of the tunnel for this problem, which is a very real problem. I'm not getting it. Yeah. Thanks for the easy applause line. Listen, whether you choose to get it or not, there's reasons to, there's reasons not, depending on your age level, your risk, whatever. That's a different issue. We have light at the end of the tunnel. We do, for people who are afraid and for people who want to be protected. But still, nothing from Greg Abbott, no end game, no timetable, nothing about freeing Texas. When is Governor Abbott going to free Texas? When? We have nothing. We don't even have a goal in the future. We have nothing. Is this going to happen indefinitely or forever? We don't know. And where are the Republicans asking him, Governor, you are not saying anything. When will you free us? That's what I want to know. I hear nothing. And then BLM rioting. If you remember this summer, it was when you worried that your suburban neighborhood was going to be invaded and burned. Yeah, very real concern that I didn't think I'd deal with in America. Yeah, mostly peaceful. Well, it depends on what your political views are when you're actually doing the burning, apparently. I mean, we traveled from, I had to actually drive because I have a 3-year-old. And if my 3-year-old doesn't want to wear a mask on a plane, I get put on a no-fly list. So we actually had to drive to North Carolina for my mother's funeral. And I remember we had to drive through Memphis and Nashville. So I had to actually bring firearms in the car because that was when BLM was demonstrating and blocking highways and dragging people out of cars. And one of the things we discussed was, well, if we ever had to use it, what would happen to us? I mean, that's the thing. Well, nobody would say anything, and of course they are protected by their political views, and I'm not, because I'm fighting them or trying to defend my family. And, you know, where are the Republicans? That's the thing. Black Lives Matter rioters were burning neighborhoods. People were scared. And what were the Republicans doing? They were passing laws recognizing Juneteenth as a national holiday and trying to tear down monuments. Why? They adopted their causes and tried to placate them. But on the flip side, what happened when we had a mob at the Capitol and their political views were different? Well, before violence was speech this summer, now speech is violence. They're investigating those who even attended this rally. And by the way, violence is wrong, both cases. But look at the disparate treatment. They're investigating those that even attended the Capitol rally. They're arresting those that were merely seen in the Capitol. If you had done that this summer, you would have millions of people in jail if they applied the same standard. And after months of riots, what did we do? We did nothing. I mean, I'm happy they fought the attempt to defund police, but other than that, we didn't do anything to reform Democrat DAs, to allow ourselves the right to protect ourselves, aside from Ron DeSantis in Florida, and that becomes a common theme, who did address those issues. We didn't do anything. You know, after months of riots, we didn't do anything. After one riot on the other side, Democrats impeached Trump, kicked him off social media, sent dozens of people to federal prison, and instituted a military occupation of D.C. for the inauguration. You think people are fighting a little different battle on our side versus their elected officials? I mean, think about it. Democrats right now are calling elected officials who disputed that maybe the election wasn't run fairly, even disputed it, insurrectionists and seditionists. How dangerous is that? I mean, everybody in this room is under threat from rhetoric like that. And guess what? I don't know the level of fraud in the election, but I can tell you the election was rigged when Republicans across the country in office allow widespread mail-in balloting to be instituted by executive order using COVID as an excuse for it. So from now on, Democrats can unilaterally change election law because COVID, and anyone who even challenges it is subject to prosecution. And what do we hear? Nothing. Yes, for the first time in our lives, free speech is about to be criminalized, and our elected officials are notably quiet. Now, shouldn't we at least count on Texas to protect us? And here's something I have a big problem with, considering the time we're living in right now. The Texas legislature is actively promoting Democrats who are using this rhetoric to leadership. They are. And I hope they won't do it this time, but we just voted to actually allow Democrats committee chairmanships, unlike in D.C. Let me go through some of the current committee chairs, or I guess outgoing committee chairs who were appointed by the Speaker Bonin, and what they said in the past couple weeks. Joe Moody was appointed by Speaker Bonin, President pro tempore, and Vice Chair of the Powerful Calendars Committee. He called Ted Cruz a coward and accused him, Ken Paxton, and other unnamed conservatives of being directly responsible for the mass murder of 23 El Pasoans and outright domestic terrorism. Chris Turner, chairman of Higher Ed, called for the legislature to investigate and impeach Ken Paxton for, quote, playing a role in insurrection by filing an election lawsuit and raising issues of election fraud, and also joined others calling Ted Cruz, Ken Paxton, Beth Van Dyne, and a majority of our Republican congressmen seditionists for demanding election integrity. Rafael Anchia, International Relations and Economic Development, supported accusations that Chairman Allen West was calling for a violent insurrection by opposing mandatory gun buybacks. Also accused President Trump, Ted Cruz, and anyone who questions whether there's election fraud as insurrectionists, seditionists, and participating in domestic terrorism and said they should be arrested and prosecuted. Terry Canales, transportation chair, demanded Ted Cruz be removed for engaging in an insurrection or rebellion and fanned the flames of BLM violence at the same time by saying if the protesters in the Capitol were black or brown, quote, they would be leaving in body bags. Meanwhile, and then of course, outgoing chair, who will not be a chair this time, Pancho Navarez, Homeland Security and Public Safety Chair, Vice Chair of Mass Violence Prevention and Community Safety, which we remember, and I definitely remember, actively encouraged a mob that stormed the Texas Capitol, shut down legislative proceedings while legislators' spouses and children were present, shut down legislative proceedings and assaulted police, and then assaulted a Republican legislator, this one, and threatened to attack the legislator when he was with his pregnant wife. So all of those individuals were Democrats appointed to chair powerful committees in the Texas House, and they were saying all of this stuff last week, and this week the Texas legislature voted to allow Democrats to be committee chairs of powerful committees again. Listen, yes, it's frustrating to me. It very much is frustrating to me that they did that. Let me tell you a story, okay? I don't know if you guys, history, story, Julius Caesar. Okay. Julius Caesar, when he was 25, before he ever took office, before he was ever, in government, he was 25 years old. He was captured by pirates. He was held on an island, and the pirates wanted to demand a ransom of 20 pieces of silver. It's like $600,000 nowadays, pretty good amount. Caesar was upset and castigated him because the ransom was too low. He told them they should demand 50. He was worth that much more. So the pirates sent his colleagues off the island to go gather the silver, and it took 38 days. During that 38-day period, Caesar mingled with the pirates. He actually played games with them. They became good friends. They palled around. He would rehearse speeches to give, and the pirates would critique him on his delivery. But one thing he did every day as they were palling around was he said, when I get off this island, I'm going to come back and I'm going to crucify every one of you. And they thought it was a joke. They didn't believe him because here's this person who's palling around with them, told him they were going to kill him and crucify him when he comes back on the island. Well, you know what happened? Well, they paid the ransom. They released Julius Caesar, and apparently the pirates didn't think he was actually going to come back because they were still on the island. When Julius Caesar had gathered a navy to come back, and he killed and crucified every single one of the pirates that held him. It's like what's happening here. I see pictures of legislators palling around with Democrats, and meanwhile, they're calling for us to be jailed. Jailed. They're giving them powerful positions, and they're telling us exactly what they want to do. They want to criminalize our speech. They want to put people who believe what we believe in jail. They want to take our elected leaders and eject them from the Senate. And we're allowing it, and we're not doing anything, and they're telling us exactly what they're going to do. This needs to stop. And it isn't going to stop with our elected representatives because they're oblivious to this. It's going to start with you guys, and that's why we're here. I can tell you, 70 million Americans believe what we believe, and we feel like we're surrounded. To be honest, a lot of us are scared. Think about the Trump election. Americans elected a personally flawed former Democrat simply because he told us he would fight for us. To those legislators who want to get reelected, that's how you get reelected. You know what? Make people feel safe. Let us know you're going to fight for us too. There's a lot of people scared. I told you why they're scared. Do that job. And when they don't do their job, that's why we have to come in. We got to show them how to do that job, and we got to have a voice. They have a big voice, and it's a shame they're not using it. But all of us together, we have a voice too. So thank you for being here. Thank you for fighting for my family. I appreciate it.
Well, hello, Patriots. Hello, Patriots. Y'all having some fun tonight? Yeah, y'all need to. Life's too short not to do that. Well, I just want to thank Fran and Julie, of course, for having this opportunity. And you guys are so lucky, so fortunate. You get a new chapter of the True Texas Project up here in Collin County. Because that's really cool, because we need you in Dallas County. Y'all are the firewall to help us out. So it's a good thing we got Collin County going. We're going to get one in Dallas County. We got it going too, but good conservatives up here. Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of peek behind the curtains of the Texas Senate when I was there. I won the election in 14, and I lost the election in 18 to a Democrat when Beto took over Dallas County and knocked us all out. But I'm going to also give you a peek of what happens to some of our conservative legislation and why it doesn't become law in Texas. Well, first let me just say that there's three things I was most proud of when I was down there in Austin. The first thing was I was always voted one of the most conservative state senators by the scorecards, by the ranking system. And I was real proud of that. How many of y'all, thank you. How many of y'all have heard of Mark Jones at Rice University, Liberal Conservative Index? Good, and not very many. You guys need to Google that thing up, okay? It's the most comprehensive scorecard you're going to see of where your legislators in Austin rank between liberal and conservative. Because have you ever seen a Republican that didn't say he was conservative? No. That's because most of them lie, right? So you need to look up that ranking because it's really it's nonpartisan. It ranks all of them, Democrats too. So you need to see that, and I encourage you to get in there and look it up. But anyway, I was ranked one of the most conservative. And two was that I was, according to the Secretary of the Senate, the only elected office holder in modern history that never took a penny from the state of Texas. When I say that, it means I never took a salary, a pension, health care, per diem, a reimbursement, never filled out a travel voucher. I never received a penny from the state of Texas for me personally. And I say that because it was real important for me. And that's because I never wanted to work for the government, and I never will work for the government. I work for the people. You guys are the ones that hired me. Thank you. And third thing, my legislative accomplishment I was most proud of is I uncovered the largest political corruption scandal in modern history, and that's in political corruption in Texas modern history. And that's based on measured by how much money elected office holders can steal from taxpayers. Have y'all heard of Dallas County Schools? Okay, y'all heard of that. It's not Dallas Independent School District, right? This is Dallas County Schools. 100-year-old organization, 3,000 employees, $100 million annual budget, and I smelled a rat. So I had a lot of hearings on them. They couldn't answer any questions. And we uncovered, really, that they were stealing money. Not just a little bit of money, but tens of millions of dollars of taxpayers' money. And I'm the one that got the Texas Rangers involved, and then we got the FBI involved, and Dallas County DA office. Well, we got 6 people put in prison. So we got 6 people serving jail, including the mayor pro tem of the city of Dallas, Dwayne Caraway. So he's sitting in prison right now. But let me tell you something. I got this bill done in Austin to close him down, to wipe him out. And I got it done. We got it passed. But I had to work my tail off to get that done. I couldn't believe how hard it was. And I got it done in the last 3 days in the House on an amendment on another bill. And it was a real struggle. Even though these guys had lots of press on them and the investigative reporters were on them, but we did get it done. But it shouldn't have surprised me how hard it was to get that done. Because let me tell you what happened at my first Republican Senate caucus meeting. Let me set the table for you. Okay, in the Texas Senate, you probably know, there's 31 state senators. We represent around 900,000 Texans each, more than a congressional district. When I was there's 20 Republicans and 11 Democrats. Not very many. We have a lot of authority. So anyway, we would meet every Monday night, and they still do at a restaurant somewhere in Austin, and at the caucus, and we discuss our business. So I go to my very first caucus meeting. Little old me, I'm very nervous and anxious, and I take in there my favorite document, one of my favorite documents. This is our state party platform right here. It clearly defines who we are as Texas Republicans. And it sets out our priority, our legislative priorities. It's put together by tens of thousands of grassroots Republicans. Well, I put it on my chair. I kept it with me in campaigning, and I keep it in my Senate desk when I was there. But anyway, I have it on my chair. And so we're going around the circle, and they say, my turn, and I say, well, Senators, I think there's two things we need to get done this session. Just two. One, we need to get rid of the business tax. The franchise tax, margin tax, that's a priority right here in the Republican Party platform. You know, business taxes are all paid by the consumer, and we can phase it out. Good bill. I said, the second thing we need to get done is constitutional carry. I said, that's the number one legislative priority of our party right here in our platform. I said, look, guys, I get it, Senators. If you don't want to vote for the bill, I hope to persuade you otherwise. But the most important thing is, let's get the bill to the floor. Let's vote on it so people can see where you stand on this issue. In other words, you can be accountable to the voters that sent you here. And you know what I heard? Nothing. Crickets. And then, this is true, a fork hit a plate, and it really sounded like a church bell going off. It did. And then, gradually, 1, 2, 3, 4 or more senators got up from the table in the middle of the meal and left the room. Well, needless to say, the rest of the night was quite awkward. Very awkward. Well, the next morning, I get a message. It said, Senator Huffines, you need to apologize for what you said last night. And I said, what did I say? And they said, you specifically said you're going to hold a fellow Republican senator accountable to the voters. And I said, I did say that, and I damn sure not apologizing. I committed right then to work on those two issues as hard as I could, as long as I was a Texas senator, and I did. And they committed to make sure they would never have to vote on those issues. Now, Patriots, I'm going to tell you something. Something you might not know, but you need to know. Most, but not all, of your elected Republican office holders, they don't like you. As a matter of fact, it's fair to say that a lot of them hate you. They belittle you. They make fun of you. They use you. They are duplicitous, and they are liars. Oh, you know why? Because you might hold them accountable. You might hold them accountable to their campaign promises. You might even hold them accountable to our party platform. Oh, maybe Huffines, you're being a little hard on them, aren't you? Well, because they do like being accountable, but not to you. They love to be accountable to the media, to the money, the lobbyists, to each other, all the fellow club members, leadership. Worst of all, what really makes me angry, when I was down there, it'd pull my hair out, it just killed me. What they would say almost every caucus meeting, even in the lunchroom, who they wanted to be accountable to, who they cared about more than anything. The Democrats. The Democrats. I am not kidding you. They would always say, well, what do the Democrats think? How are the Democrats going to respond? What are we going to do about the Democrats? They said it all the time. Have you ever seen our elected Republican leaders, statewide leaders, have this in their hand, our party platform? Have you ever seen King Greg walk around with this in his hand? I never have. He's never mentioned it. What about Dan Patrick, our lieutenant governor? I served with him 2 sessions. He never once mentioned our party platform. As a matter of fact, I've heard him say the opposite. He didn't want to deal with it. Any of our elected office holders, they don't want to deal with it. You know why? Why you don't hear our statewides talking about it? Because they don't believe in it. They don't believe in it. If they wanted this to become law, guess what? It would be law. 300 planks in here. 10 legislative priorities every session. And every session, we come down to Austin. Please, sir, would you please pass some of our priorities? Please. They don't do that. But they're going to go back to their home, their district. They're going to beg you for $1, and they're going to beg you for $1, and they're going to tell you that they're so conservative, right? But they don't even be bothered to pass any of this unless it's watered down. But don't worry. You're going to get something. Because here's what happens. It's what everything happens in the Texas Senate. Everything's decided in the back room. Back there in the back room where you can't see what's going on. Every vote is known before it gets to the floor. Every vote. No bill has ever come up to the Texas Senate when I was there that did not pass. All the deals are made in the back room. It's the principal's office. I got called back there a lot. They're going to put their boots back up on the desk. They're going to open the drawer. They're going to pull out that whiskey bottle. They're going to pour themselves a cocktail. And then they're going to say, well, we're going to get the grassroots this year. Oh, I don't know. We'll get you something. 1 issue, maybe 2 if they make a mistake. And they'll water it down so it won't mean anything. It'll never be a major issue. They're going to give you a party favor. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get a little party favor. And then they're going to go out and say, this was great. What a great conservative session. You're going to argue with them. And they're going to tell you to shut the hell up and slam a pacifier in your mouth. And then they're going to go around the state of Texas. And they're going to say, whoa, this was so great. And they're going to tell the media it was so conservative. This is the most conservative session we've ever had. We have never had a conservative session in the history of this great state. Not one time. Never. We just look at the issues. What, have they outlawed abortion? No. What about property tax relief? Getting rid of property tax? What about securing the border? Look, if we wanted a secure border, I guarantee you that border would be secure. They don't want it secure. Well, what about, I don't know, my favorite issue? Well, second favorite. School choice. I love school choice. It's been on our list for 30 years. 30 years it's been a priority. But the most important issue? Voter fraud. Election integrity. Nothing. It is the foundation of our republic. It's the foundation of our civilization. When we lose confidence in our voting, it starts cracking. Our foundation will crack. Tyranny is the result. We know dead people vote. We know illegals, non-citizens are registering to vote. And they're voting by the tens of thousands. If that's not bad enough, what about software manipulation? If they can program software to count the vote, they can program software to change the vote. And now we got to deal with that. But who's in charge of voter fraud? Attorney General and the governor. Greg Abbott was Attorney General for 12 years. He never mentioned it that I know of. He's governor now. He doesn't say anything about it. Hasn't done anything about it to secure our elections. Do you know how many people do y'all think works in the Attorney General's office? 4,000. 4,000. Do you know how many attorneys work in the Attorney General's office? Over 700. Do you know how many they assigned to voter fraud? Two. For 30 million people. The most significant thing we could ever touch as far as keeping confidence. Well, if that's not bad enough, now we have big tech censoring us, right? We can't even get our message out. The media is totally controlled by the liberal elites. Where was, as Representative Rinaldi said, where was and are our Republican office holders? That's right. We gave them millions to come to Texas, but where's all of our feckless Republican leaders in Washington or in Austin? They're cowards. The most important character trait needed to be a true patriot is to be brave. To be brave. It's so hard to stand up, as these two patriots can tell you, when everybody's telling you to sit down. Don't you understand? You're not going to get a committee assignment. Don't you understand? You're not going to be a committee chairman. You're a part of the club. You got to be with us. You're not going to hear anything from those guys. They're cowards. Where are they? Right? This is an embarrassment that we're having this struggle. I even have to say this tonight when we should be fighting the Democrats, the socialists. Socialism always leads to communism. Always. It leads to tyranny. Always. And the horrors are unimaginable. Unimaginable. The Democrats are the ones that are trying to replace God with government. They're doing a very good job of that. They are destroying this country. They're destroying our liberty. This is a clear case of good versus evil. It really is. Tyranny is evil. Patriots, we need to illuminate the battlefield. We need to shine a light on those that are with us and those that aren't. Let me read you something. Revelations 3:15. I know your deeds. You're neither cold nor hot. How I wish you were one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to vomit you out of my mouth. Well, I pray this will never be said about me. And I don't think it'll be said about anyone in here. Because you understand the true purpose of government. And that is always to defend our God-given liberty. I want you to ask every candidate that's running from dog catcher to governor that question. What is the purpose of government? If they give you some mealy-mouthed, stupid answer, they can't answer it what I just said. It's to defend your God-given liberty, your birthright. That is your birthright as a human. If they can't answer that, run away and find somebody else. Find somebody else. You understand how important that is. You understand we swear allegiance to a document, not to a king or a queen or to the military or to the president, but a document that was written, our Constitution, specifically to restrain government, specifically to enshrine your God-given liberties. Well, patriots, when we can identify these issues, and we can then identify leaders that have true, undaunted courage, true courage, that can find the resolutions to them. We have the resolutions to all these issues. We can solve and save these problems, and we can save Texas. I used to say, when we lose Texas, we're going to lose the USA, or so goes Texas, goes the USA. I don't say that anymore. I say when we lose Texas, we lose the free world. That means we lose civilization as we know it. Time is not on our side. It's not. But I have confidence in you guys. I really do. I really believe that our greatest days are yet to dawn. And our time is coming. Our time is coming soon. God bless you. God bless Texas. For liberty, prosperity, and virtue always. I love you guys. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Stickland. I'm a recovering politician, and I've been clean for 6 days. And it feels really, really good. I don't have to wear a suit anymore. I don't have to hold back. I don't have to worry about who I'm taking a picture with. I don't owe anybody anything. For the last 8 years, I've had the privilege of working in the Texas House. When I ran the first time, I was a 27-year-old high school dropout with a GED, taking on a 16-year incumbent with over $1 million in the bank. A great ballot name. His name was Todd Smith, which is much better than Stickland, Strickland. How do you spell this? I don't know. But I knocked on over 10,000 doors, and I looked people in the face, and I said, we've got a problem. And the biggest problem that we have is we've got a bunch of people down there who are campaigning as one thing and then doing something completely different. And that's why I think you're here tonight. How many of you are sick and tired of campaign conservatives? How many of you are sick and tired of sending down a Republican majority and your taxes going up and your freedoms being stripped and your churches being closed and everything else that's happening to you? It's a real problem. It's a real problem. I learned very quickly down in Austin that every single one of us would have a choice to make. You get to choose. Are you going to be popular in Austin, or are you going to be popular back home? Because it's not compatible to be both. You have to choose who you care about, whose opinion matters. And over the course of the last 8 years and dealing with hundreds of different elected officials, I've found one common thing that every single one of them are good at. What do you think it is? Well, that's definitely the underlying issue. It's not giving a good speech. It's not, doing this, doing that, being right on the policy, da-da-da-da-da. The one common thing that every single one of them are good at is reading a room. That's strange, right? How many of you guys have been to a Republican club or some kind of group before and heard people speak and think, that's a good guy right there? Raise your hand. How many of you have seen them in different audiences other than a Republican club? Sometimes you don't see the same thing. You see, we all know that when we get up on this stage, it's a safe place to be conservative. Now, we get a little bit nervous when all these cameras and things are pointing our way, because then we start to wonder who's watching on the other end. But this is a safe place to talk about constitutional carry and talking about a parental's right to figure out if their kids are going to be shot up with a vaccination or not, or talk about the sanctity of life. These are all safe issues. to talk about here. But most of the people that you have heard go and say something different when the room is different. When they're together, we hear about things completely different. And one of the most illuminating concepts to me, and I know these two guys over here, is we very often share the same stage with other politicians, and we actually get to see it. I see them when you're talking to the Chamber of Commerce and people who want crony capitalism, and they want tax abatements, and they want the government to pick winners and losers because they think they have an edge. And then I see them go over here and talk to the entrepreneur who just wants a level playing field, wants a chance to work harder and innovate and bring these things to the marketplace and succeed. And most politicians have the ability to go back and forth between two things. On church, they can quote God, but when they're in front of Democrats, they can drink whiskey and curse and do all of these things. It's amazing how people have been able to adapt. But the thing about it is they are able to read their surroundings. And that's what Senator Huffines was talking about when he said, what are we going to give the grassroots? What are we going to decide when they're in the back rooms and they're having these discussions? They're trying to figure out what they can give you to keep you quiet. What is just enough to get you to not show up and cause a problem? What's the least amount of boat rocking you will go for and stay quiet? It's very easy for us to sit up here and talk about all these politicians who have let us down. But understand, most of them have been reading the room, reading the comments, looking at your actions, looking at the finance report, look who shows up to vote, and they have concluded that you don't matter as much as the other people. The people in Austin and the lobbyists have more to offer them than you. And that's a hard reality for some of us to accept. But it's the truth. They have concluded that being in the middle and not sticking their head out is the safest place to be. And it is for a lot of people. Because it's uncomfortable to be out here far on the right and talking about issues. Or on the left. You see, there's this political theory called the Overton window. Has anybody heard of it before? I'll give you a quick lesson here. You've got a sliding scale. Picture a line. And on this side you have conservative. On this side you have liberal. And your public policy is always going to come in the middle of those 2 points. All your public policy and the things that are actually going to get done are going to come from the middle. Why? Because the middle is the safest place. That's where most of the politicians are going to be. That's the safe zone. So how do you change and actually get policy done? Well, you've got 2 different options. You either take the conservative side and go as far down there as possible, which moves that Overton window to the middle, or you cut off this part of the left as absolutely unobtainable and crazy and redraw that line. And that bar of the Overton window is going to move in between. Those that are playing politics understand that that's the game. And that is why they have demonized the people on either end. How many of you do not like AOC? Raise your hand. Bad news for this country, correct? Absolutely. She is leading the Democrat Party and setting the liberal agenda. That woman, whether she knows it or not, has more political power and say of what policy is actually happening than Nancy Pelosi or any of the Democrat leadership. Because she has successfully taken that line of the rhetoric and gone so far left that she has shifted the Overton window. That's why we have to cut her off as not being part of it and say, she's absolutely crazy. But she is actually deciding more about policy than anyone that is in that middle spot. Everyone understand where I'm going with this? Well, guess what the other side is trying to do to conservatives? That Jonathan Stickland, Matt Rinaldi, Don Huffines, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, they are so far right, they are crazy, they shouldn't even be on the spectrum. They are trying to cut them off as irrelevant because it shifts it back the other way. For 8 years, I went up there and stopped more bills on the local and consent calendar than anyone in the history of Texas. For 8 years, I called more record votes and brought more transparency to the process than any other representative down in Texas. We passed numerous amendments, including a ban on red light cameras, which hopefully you all enjoy here. But do you understand? I made the calculation and understood that I could do these things because of the people that were behind me. Joe Strauss, Dennis Bonin, the Austin lobby, these people who came against us wanted us gone. And it would have been fun to do it once. But the only reason we got to do it for 8 years was because I had an army behind me that supported us and fortified us and made sure that when we were down there on the far right, we were surrounded, we were relevant, and we were protected. And it was from people like these two women right here, Molly and Pat, who everyone in the district knew no matter what, they would show up. They were going to be relevant. They had my back. And Austin figured out after a while, oh my gosh, this isn't just some crazy representative from Bedford, Texas, who's lost his mind causing all these problems. There's tens of thousands of people behind him who are crazier than he is. What we have to do, folks, is understand a truth. And I brought no notes tonight because it messes me up when I have to have an agenda, but I brought a quote. I'm going to read it now. I'm going to read it at the end because I want you to understand this. It's a quote by Dr. Milton Friedman. Ever heard of him? He said, "I do not believe that the solution to our problem is simply to elect the right people. The important thing is to establish a political climate of opinion which will make it politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right thing." The wrong people do the right thing. Now, for the past 8 years, I've spent a lot of time in the conservative movement. I realized very quickly after being elected that there was going to be zero chance of me getting anywhere substantial for our movement in Texas by myself. So one of the things that we did was go around and help local groups raise money, develop fundraising efforts, developing donors, recruiting candidates, training them, doing all these things. We did all this across the state. Many of you were a part of it. We needed backup. And I personally stood on stage and vouched for dozens of different candidates across Texas, raising millions of dollars to help them, thinking that they would go down there and do the right thing. A couple of them have, but I will tell you the mass majority were a disappointment. Most of them I've had to turn around and apologize for vouching for. Some lasted a term or two. Some instantly went over to the other side. Each story is a little bit different. What I have realized over the last 8 years is very simple. We're never going to get 76 right people to change this state. What we can very easily do is realize we've already got more than 76 selfish politicians who, if they conclude that they have to do something because you make them, because you demand it, will do exactly what we want them to in a heartbeat. Joe Strauss, one of the most liberal, the guy is a Democrat, Speaker of the House for 10 years, passed one of the most sweeping pro-life legislation in the history of our country. We banned abortion at 20 weeks. How many people remember that? It was a big deal. Wendy Davis did the filibuster, and all these crazy people showed up down there. Worse, 10 times worse than anything we saw in Washington, D.C., I'll tell you that. People were taking dumps in bags and throwing them at legislators and chanting "Hail Satan" in the rotunda of the Capitol. We were there. Jeff, you were there. You saw it. DPS had some of us park in a different spot and had to bring us in secret entrances just to get to the floor to vote. It was crazy time. But Joe Strauss was the Speaker of the House when we passed that bill. He's on the record being against abolishing abortion. Why did he pass the bill? Because he went around and he concluded that he had to. He had to do it to survive. If Joe Strauss is capable of determining that he has to do the right thing, even though he's the wrong guy, then we've got hope. We've got hope. You see, right now, this group, this live stream, the pictures that will be on Facebook in a couple of hours, us all tagging each other, is about to start a process that many of us may not be aware of. Representative Leach was nice enough to be here tonight to see what is going on, but every elected official in Collin County is going to take a look at this room and make an evaluation. They're about to decide whether this group is going to matter or not. They're about to decide whether this is a group of people who came for a couple of speakers, or if this is a group that's going to organize and demand conservative legislation going forward. They are going to determine whether this is a group that they have to show up to or not. They have to do this stuff. That's their job as elected officials. So understand, for the first time, for some of you, you may be just getting this, but you're being constantly evaluated by your elected officials. And it's not just about money. I guarantee you that every elected Republican in Collin County knows who the players are. They know who influences 10 votes, 20 votes, 100 votes. They know the pastors whose endorsement and blessing matters. They know the donors in Collin County and the business owners that they've got to go see to get the check mark. This has all been determined. And guess what? For the last couple of years, we have not been the people that matter enough. Collin County 6 years ago was the bastion of the conservative movement and sending hell-raising conservatives who were going to fight down to Austin, up to Washington, doing these things. And now we have one here. There's one. And Jeff, we need you to come. But I'm just telling you, we have one. So what are you going to do about it? We can sit around and talk about how crappy each one of them are and how they lied to us. And that may make us feel better. We can throw our shoes at the TV. We can yell at them on Facebook. Or you can become politically relevant and a force to be reckoned with. And you can make the wrong people do the right thing. Here's what I've noticed. It's kind of funny. There were a couple of different situations in the last few years where an issue would come up, and I would talk to people who had totally been an enemy of doing anything real conservative. And they would come up and say, I don't want to take this controversial vote. I don't want to. This is what they're saying for months. I don't want to have to do that. Can't we just make it go away? And then all of a sudden, those same people, when it's time to vote, are like, I've been a champion the whole time. Give you a prime example. How many of y'all have heard about our effort to ban abortion at the city level, making sanctuary cities for the unborn across Texas? We now have a couple of dozen that have done that, okay? That came off an amendment that I threw onto a bill at the end of last session, and it was a surprise vote. I didn't tell anybody. We came up with this idea that said this bill had nothing to do with abortion whatsoever. And we thought, well, liberals are doing all this crazy stuff at the city level, right? They're doing it over and over and over again. So why can't we do it? Just for once, let's just take a couple of conservative cities and see what happens. So this bill comes along, and I have this little amendment that it literally said this. This bill does not prohibit municipalities from banning abortion. It didn't, for anyone that knows anything about legislation, this was not like granting them anything. We just acknowledged that this bill didn't stop it. And everyone went, wow, you mean we can do that now? I don't know, maybe let's try it. And they started to do it. But let me tell you guys something. That day on the Texas House floor, when I popped that amendment out, they freaked out. And I'm not talking about Democrats. No Democrats said anything to me. But I had at least 20 Republican representatives who came up to me, and it went anywhere from please, please, please don't do this, Jonathan, please, to you piece of bleep and bleep, 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 I'm gonna kick your bleeping. I mean, they were mad, begging me. One of them is Dustin Burrows, okay? And Dustin Burrows is now in the city of Lubbock, pushing the city of Lubbock to ban abortion in Lubbock, and he started a PAC to support it. This guy looked me in the eye and said, if you do this, you're dead to me, Stickland. We're coming after you. And now he is the champion of banning abortion in Lubbock. Greg Bonin, who has literally carried pro-life legislation, been named a champion by different pro-life groups, threatened me, yelled at me, and kind of freaked me out a little bit, honestly. He had this just like crazy look, like, you better not do this, Stickland. And I'm like, dude, I'm doing it. You need to buckle up. You should go sit down because we're not backing down. But guess how many of these people who begged me not to do it voted against it? None. I talked to Brian Slayton just a couple of days ago. He had a couple of rule amendments that were awesome. He had people come up to him begging him not to prioritize abolishing abortion over renaming a highway. Yelled and screamed at him and told him, don't do this, you better not go through with it. And then they voted with him. They voted with him. This is what is going on in Austin. This is what we are up against. But here's the good news. They're watching y'all. They're watching every single one of you, and they're evaluating you. And what they're trying to figure out is, are you going to be capable of making the wrong people do the right thing? And one of the things that they are going to use to evaluate is the success of this effort right now. Raise your hand if you're one of the founding members of Collin County True Texas Project and putting this thing together. These patriots have stood up and drawn a marker and said, we're going to do this. And it's great that we've had a huge room. People are flowing out there. Thank God the fire marshal hasn't been called. But what's the second meeting going to look like, folks? What about 6 months from now? What is this group going to be doing? The good news is there's no elected official that has any say over the answer to that question. It's up to you. And I'm just telling you guys right now that one of the reasons that we are focused on pushing these in-person meeting groups is because if you don't think that big tech is about to silence us on Facebook and the things that we have enjoyed and the things that we have pushed and the communities that we have built are at risk of not existing anymore. They know that we have power on that and they're going to destroy it. And we are going to have to get back to the basics. And I'm just telling you guys right now, those of you who know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior know what I'm about to say. These are spiritual battles that we are fighting. We know how this ends. Now it's about us being obedient or not. And I'm just going to tell you this right now, that if you and your family and the ones that you love and care about are not in a physical meeting place at a church every week and a part of a local conservative group who's holding people accountable, then you are not ready for what is about to face this country. We can sit around and we can blame all the politicians that we're mad at, but we better have our own houses in order. You need to get out of debt. You need to get into physical shape, which is what my wife's killing me about right now. You need to be prayed up. You need to make sure that your kids have accepted Christ. You need to make sure that your neighbor has their needs met instead of asking them to go stand in line at a government agency. Government has effectively pushed out the church and we have let them. And if you want it to stop, then you personally are going to have to do something about it. Ladies and gentlemen, the True Texas Project in Collin County can be something magical, but it's going to be dependent on you. And you have patriots like myself who are rooting you on and praying you up, and I hope that you are ready, and I would not rather do battle with anyone else than the folks that I've seen in this room. Let's go out there and fight for the truth. Let's be obedient to the Lord, and let's get these politicians, every one of them that is wrong, to start having to do the right thing. God bless you. God bless Texas, and God bless the future of this group.
That was great. Jonathan makes fun of me because every time he speaks, he says, "How did I do?" And I'm like, I really didn't listen. I caught most of it. Most important, he bragged on True Texas Project. And you guys, if you want this group to be successful, he's absolutely right. You have got to share it with your friends. You've got to get them at these meetings. And I'll tell you that this same trio of former representatives and senators spoke in Dallas County for their launch, and we had 150 show up. We have 220 here. Well, I think we have more than that now. But that was the first meeting. We had 150 show up, and the second meeting had 35 people. Now, come on, guys. We're not going to get anything done if that many of you disappear, okay? The numbers need to grow. Now, I will tell you that last week in Dallas County, we had 100 people. So the numbers picked up again, which is fantastic. But you must, and I know all of you want to get off of Facebook because you're so mad at Facebook. But let me tell you, last weekend, when we had our training session, there were 130 people in that room. We expected there to be about 25, okay? And I said, you guys, have you heard of True Texas Project? And they hadn't. And I said, well, how did you end up here? And they said, well, we heard about it on Facebook. If you guys get off Facebook, how are we going to reach these people? Yes, they're the enemy, but let's use them. Until they kick us off, we will use them. So take your pictures. Jonathan, Dawn, I think Matt had to leave, but if they're still here, take your picture with them. Put it on social media. Take your picture in front of this banner. Put it on social media. Share our advertising video that we created. That's why we created it, because people like videos. They like to watch them. So share it. It's an easy way, okay? So we never, ever have a meeting at True Texas Project where we don't have an action item. We are not here to gripe. That's what killed every Tea Party in Texas, okay? True Texas Project started as Northeast Tarrant Tea Party out of Tarrant County. We grew, and we had so much success because we were never a gripe session. We always have an action item. I don't even want you here if you're just going to sit here and do nothing. All you're doing is taking up a seat that somebody else might take. So, please, your action item is to grow this group. Be committed to this group. Get involved with our Citizen Advocate Program. Those are the people that, Fran, where are you? You guys, you've got to get to know this lady, okay? She runs our citizen activists. Yeah. So I don't know if you caught it in the video because the audio was a little bit off, but our citizen advocates, they're the ones that are going to Austin, they're writing letters, they're just staying connected with all of our elected officials. I mean, at every level, okay? And there might be times when she says, we need somebody to go to Austin this weekend. And if you can go, great. And if you can't, delete it. But at least be on the list so you know what we need you to do and when. And it might be writing a letter or it might be an email. There's always something somebody can do, okay? And I'm talking to every single one of you. I had somebody contact me this week and said, hey, I'd really love to help, but I'm on a retirement income. And so I've got nothing to give. And I'm like, I don't need your money. I need you to get off your butt and do something, okay? So I'm talking to every single person in this room. We need you to do something. So we're done. It's after 8 o'clock and we're going to go home, but just keep this enthusiasm, stay engaged, come back next month.